A warm welcome to the show. 2026 is here and it's shaping up to be a big year for culture, packed with events, performances and just about everything in between. So to help you plan ahead, I'm joined by my editor, Karolina Shapland, and together we'll walk you through some of the most exciting events and music releases coming up. Hi Karolina, great to have you with us as always.
Delighted to be here with you in the studio.
So looking ahead, what are the most significant events of 2026?
Well, we have a raft of really interesting cinematic releases here in Poland. I think many sixth formers are really looking forward to the movie Lalka, the doll, not only because as a Polish person, you have to study this book, which goes on forever in year sixth form, but also it will be a very interesting release. We saw for 2 months Warsaw being transformed into this Victorian city. And we know the stars, so Dorociński will be the hero, and the lady called Kamila Urzędowska, who starred in the movie Peasants, will be the doll. So the story revolves around this self-made man falling in love with an aristocrat. And again, people like me are really excited to see Marek Konrad, who was like a really famous Polish actor of the 90s, who then went to in a complete retirement, started being a wine merchant, and he decided to come out of retirement for this movie. So big movie, The Doll. The second one, which looks interesting, I'm not sure it will be really highbrow, is Dziki, the Wild Man. And this is Poland's first IMAX production. And it tells a story of some sort of a Highlander mutant person. I don't think it will be the brainiest of movies. However, I think, you know, with the Avatar Part 3 being in the movies, visually, it'll be pretty much the same. And lastly, I think very soon, right in the middle of January, we'll have a release of a movie about the big scandal around racehorses in Warsaw called Wielka Warszawska. And I think this movie taps into that 90s nostalgia that is very fashionable now. So 3 really solid movies to look out for. Now, TV series will bring a couple of gems. So series 3 of the comedy 1670s, which lampoons Polish character. So series 3 will be out there. We also will have a Netflix first medical drama based in Poland, titled Anesthesia, I believe. And something I think might be good. It's hard to judge. The series 26 episode produced by TVP will be out autumn 2026. And it will be some sort of a bittersweet Polish rom-com that will be based in Italy. Again, tapping into that very fashionable, let's move to Italy, you know, let's, get out of the rat race. And it's some sort of the story revolves about a lady, you know, middle-aged lady moving to Italy. And it will be packed with Polish stars, especially Dawid Ogrodnik, you know, a really solid actor, and some Italian actors. And we also seem to have sort of a second generation of Italian-Polish mixed dual heritage actors. So the series is called Apulia, and again, you know, should be interesting.
It sounds good, certainly. But what about, I mean, if I wanted to go out, where would I go?
I think, you know, Poland since 2024, and I think we can call it Taylor Swift effect. Poland will, every month, you would have at least 3 amazing pop star concerts to choose from. So starting straight away at the end of January, there will be Raye. I don't know if you're familiar with Raye. Raye is one of those very fashionable young singers who seem to be doing her own thing. You know, Rosalia is one of them, Olivia Dean, and she's coming to Poland, you know, in months from now. Then another one I would probably try to get my tickets from is the French sort of a jazz chanteuse called Zaz. Very popular. She had a really good concert last year in, surprisingly enough, in Łazienki, the Royal Łazienki Park in Warsaw, and she decided to come back with a really big stadium-filled concert. And then really, month on month, we'll have more and more stars till the famous Polish festival season. And there, you know, with the open air festival, Mystic, raft of festivals, we'll have all kinds of, you know, from The Cure to the latest stars like the Weeknd. So, you know, a really, really solid performance right there.
Why do you think Poland has become so popular with Western performers?
I think it's a mixture of the fact we are a very young economy. People are really well off these days in comparison to what they were. And also 2025 trends proved that one way to show off your wealth is no longer the handbags, it's no longer the fancy shoes or the cars, because these so-called luxury goods are much cheaper than they used to be. But actually what became really, really fashionable is the experiences. So, you know, going to a concert, getting those premium or VIP tickets, taking a photograph with a star and then putting it on your socials is a way of showing your wealth and status. So that's one of the big trends for 2026 is experiences, not things. And talking of experiences, what I would want to go, where I would want to go, is to see break in classic. So we have Jan Józef Orliński. He's a very famous Polish countertenor with this unique voice. He actually was one of the artists opening the Paris Olympics, and he's got his own festival. So not only he sings Baroque music, but he can do breakdancing. You know, he's really easy on the eye. We saw him sort of opening the 60 years anniversary of the National Opera. So yeah, the boy can't do no wrong at the moment. So break in classic is something that really I would go and see.
Well, there's one event, one flagship event right next year, and I'm talking about Eurovision because it's also highly controversial. May 2026, right?
It is, and it will be hosted by Vienna this year, and it's quite strange, and maybe, you know, we can judge the state of the world by looking at the Eurovision contest, because it used to be just a frothy nonsense pop extravaganza, you know, sequins and pyrotechnics. Already last year, we saw how politically aware the Eurovision audience became. And this year, there is a huge debate over Israel participation in the event. And we have to say, if it's called Eurovision, regardless of the political affiliation, maybe it's time to stop Canada, Australia. You know, let's make Eurovision European, and then we might avoid all of this fuss.
By all means, if someone is interested, Iceland, Ireland, the Netherlands, Slovenia and Spain already withdrew from this year's contest.
Poland did not,
yes,
as of yet.
But we'll know who represents Poland in February, right? This is when
Yes, well, Polish performances are famously checkered, and, you know, maybe it would be wonderful if we could do a little bit better than last year, but who knows.
So what about visual arts?
Yeah, I'm quite, you know, preparing for this interview, I was checking for the big blockbuster events. And so far, the things I see are not really that amazing. You know, there are lots of little niche exhibitions, and they are always worth seeing, but there are no huge unveiling as of yet. The one thing that I really would urge our viewers to go and try is, after quite a long period of closure, the Warsaw Museum of Posters will reopen in the Wilanów Royal Park. And you know, the Polish School of Posters is, very famous worldwide for a good reasons. These are not only good posters, they are amazing work of art, really worth collecting. And, looking through Pinterest or Instagram, we can see that people all over the world love collecting these posters. So thank God this museum is reopening, because it was a crying shame it was shut down for so long.
So you're our in-house expert on culture, and I wanted to ask you, looking at the past few years, can we speak of certain trends in Polish culture, and what can we expect trend-wise next year?
I think nostalgia is really, really big. I think we will see more and more TV series, especially, being made harking back to the 90s. I think 90s are quite in right now, fashion-wise, music-wise, so that's one trend. You could say it's quite a positive trend. The second trend, which I think may not be that great, is the fact that movies are visually stunning, however, plot-wise, simpler. And I've heard from somebody who produces on a Polish side movies for one of the big platforms, saying that when they look at the script needs to pass the 2-screen test. I don't know whether you've heard about 2-screen test. Well, basically, movie producers are assuming that we will be watching 2 screens at the same time. So you'll have your TV series and your mobile phone in your hand. Therefore, you cannot have any part of the plot just told through people looking. They have to walk in the room and say, behold, somebody died. So, not a great trend. The other one, that the movie needs to look good on your phone. So you always have to center your characters. When they're talking, they need to be close together. Again, even if your set is sumptuous with all of the detailing in the background, it doesn't really matter. And people call it the iPhone effect. So you can see really well the characters, in a foreground, but the background is blurry, which makes it really, strange, because people pay this money to be transported into the 90s, and then they can't see what is happening in the background.
Right, so, but if you're on a subway, right, watching on your phone, for instance, then probably it makes sense, right?
Yeah. I think 2026 will be the year of Latin music. So Bad Bunny is coming to Poland during summer. He's a Puerto Rican artist who just left this confines of the Latin music. And, you can also see in Rosalia that ambitious music, ambitious pop music is incredibly popular. So, the time where we had this really bland music that sounded all the same, I think hopefully they're in the past.
And do you think that lyrics are important nowadays, or not so much?
They are. And, again, looking at Rosalia, amazing to have an album with so many languages taking inspiration from the opera, from Ukrainian, video shot in Warsaw. So lyrics, absolutely, really important, and creativity. I think the more AI musical content will be on one side, the more we will really value individuality and almost the weirdness and creativity that AI cannot produce. Because AI, by definition, will produce very bland, very unified, very average production.
I guess that some artists would probably not agree with you, because we recently hosted an artist who works with a robot, right, to sort of create works of art, and she was very adamant about the fact that robots can have creativity of their own. I'm talking about Basia,
yeah,
right?
Of course, yeah. And yes, I think the theory is really, really interesting, but the actual practice, and Basia's programmer would say that at the moment, Basia can produce a work of art as good as a 3-year-old. When I go to the art gallery, I do want to see something better than a 3-year-old scribblings.
Right, unless someone is a 3-year-old prodigy, right? Anyhow, a very exciting year ahead. So lots to do in 2026. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
And thank you for watching Buzz of Culture. Please stay tuned for more here on TVP World.